You don't have to wear that mask if you don't like that. It's not. I feel safe.
You feel safe? You got your vaccine?
Uh-huh.
You got your vaccine?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, and
All right.
I
Thank
feel
you.
pretty good.
Perfect. Mr. Floyd, what an honor. Thank you for sitting with me to tell your story. It's been such a pleasure to work with you and to watch your progress over these last years. And I know it's been a life goal of yours to come back and to get this degree. And thank you for telling your story. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you. It's been an honor. We've enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, Doctor.
I would love to hear your story, and I can guide you a little bit, but why don't I just ask you to tell your story to start?
Well, I was born in a small town in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And my people mainly were sharecroppers. And my mother, she worked as a maid. And she would tell us from a young age that we had to go to college.
Yeah.
So we, it's 5 of us, brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
We all have college degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mother's a big influence on the fact that I wanted to go to college. The reason I wanted to become a scientist.
Yeah.
So I came in one day in the house, and there was a calendar with a mushroom cloud on it. And I asked my mother, I was about 6 or 7. I asked her, I said, what is that?
Yeah.
And she says it's an atomic bomb sign. And she said it with such an expression. Then I looked back at her and I said, I have to be whoever made that.
Oh, goodness.
So that's how and she says, well, you have to be a scientist. And that's where I began to get an interest in science from her.
Mm-hmm. Now, you started your degree as a younger man, but you ended up heading to the Navy, is that correct?
No, what happened is at 18 I went in the Navy.
At 18 you went in the Navy.
A lot of my friends, they were drafted into the Army and went to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be sort of like my father. I didn't know him.
Mm-hmm.
He died when I was 9,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept hearing stories about him fighting and on the guns on his ship, which I don't believe anymore, but those are the type letters he wrote my mother.
Uh-huh.
Because at that time, most black men could only be stewards or cooks.
Oh.
And I did not know that at that time.
But he told a story with more adventure.
Well, he told a story, and I believe he just wooing my mother. May not, he may have. There are cases where they did actually put black men on guns.
So maybe it was true.
Yes, but so maybe it was
Maybe
true.
it was.
But
that's what you wanted to do, was to follow him.
well, yeah, I was sort of wanting to go in the Navy.
Yeah.
And so I did enlist in the Navy in 1964.
Uh-huh.
And I went to radar school.
Yeah.
Six months of radar school.
Yeah.
And that was based on your mathematical abilities. They kind of screen you out.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to be a submarine guy at first.
Okay.
But that was what was offered. And so I went to radar school. And after radar school, I ended up on the USS Hornet,
Uh-huh.
CVS-12. That was an aircraft carrier from the Korean War era.
Yes. Yes.
And it was quite interesting. But I would go to the library we had a little small library,
Yes.
probably about a 12 by 12,
Uh-huh.
not enough for more than 1 or 2 people.
Yes.
And one day I pulled a book off the shelf, and it was about Albert Einstein.
Ah.
And I began to read that book. It was not physics,
Mm-hmm.
but it was mostly about his life
Yes.
and, some quirks about his life.
Yes.
And things such as, I'm correct, that he didn't like to wear socks and stuff like that.
Could be.
And then the physics of it.
Uh-huh.
And so that just made me want to be a scientist even more.
I see.
Looking at such a great man, just reading about him.
Yes.
So while I was in the Navy, I took all the correspondence courses I could.
I see.
But usually what would happen is we pull out to sea
Yes.
on a deployment, usually Vietnam, for 3 to 6 months at a time.
Yes.
And so any correspondence course, the first correspondence course I took was from Penn State.
Ah.
And it was in electronics.
Uh-huh.
I thought I had the background to do it from radar school.
Mm-hmm.
But I soon realized that what they teach in radar school, which is good, it's practical,
Yes.
is not the sort of stuff that colleges teach.
I see.
It's much deeper. So
Interesting.
I resolved that I had to learn more.
Uh-huh.
And that was what came out of that.
Good. So you were a career Navy man for 3 decades. Do I have that right?
Sir,
Did you stay in the Navy for about 3 decades? Do I understand that correct?
I got out of the Navy in 1968,
Oh, okay.
and I swore I would never go back in.
I see.
And that mainly because I, like most young men, I stayed in trouble.
Okay.
So after about 12 years, I went to Central State University. That's where I started my physics.
Okay.
And I absolutely loved it.
Yes.
And during that time, NASA was laying off.
Okay.
And I was being fed with the idea that there's no jobs for physicists.
I see.
And really it was sort of like engineers, and because they had hired so many scientists because of the Sputnik. During the Sputnik era, we got a little afraid, and we hired as many scientists, mathematicians that we could to catch up with Russia.
Uh-huh.
So that was, and then we had this overflow.
Yes.
So I changed majors
Oh, okay.
and graduated with a degree in marketing,
I see.
which I didn't use at all. But I did that primarily because I was accepted in law school.
Okay.
And I went to law school for 2 years.
Okay.
My grades wasn't quite high enough to finish.
I see.
So you have to have at least, well, I don't want to go in it, but I came very close to finishing law school.
Came very close.
But
I didn't realize that.
yeah, I realized that was not my cup of tea.
Okay.
Science was I could understand it.
Uh-huh.
Even though law school, you don't have these fancy formulas we use, but it just wasn't for me.
It wasn't for you.
Yeah.
So what did you do after that?
Well, previously I had worked for the phone company for almost 10 years. I worked for the phone company inside, connecting communication lines such as Watts lines and those sort of things. Tracing calls for the police, the FBI even. During that time, we did not have electronic switching systems. That's what you have now. Whenever you push a dial
Yes.
or a phone, that's an electronic switching system, which goes to a computer.
Yes.
And so in order to trace a call, you have to actually go to the location and put a short on that number. And the number would be like a mechanical device that may move over one for a digit.
Uh-huh.
You go up another one for the next digit. So we have a bank of numbers, and then you have to run and put a short on it to hold it there so you can go back. You don't have to get it on but one. Put a short on it.
Yeah.
Then you can go back and trace it. So I enjoyed that. I just got to work with the police and sometimes the FBI, tracing numbers and that sort of thing. But
So what was the path that led you back into physics?
well, I would say I never left.
So you never left.
It definitely has helped me in life.
Yeah.
I became pretty, I don't want to say successful, but I learned how to make a lot of money.
Okay.
And I sold real estate, and I was pretty good at it.
Yes.
And in Dayton, Ohio.
Yes.
And also, I got in aviation. Me and two other guys, we bought a little plane, a little Cessna 182,
Okay.
and leased it back. So to pass, like your private pilot license,
Yes.
physics and mathematics is what it's all about.
Okay.
You're always dealing with vectors when
Yes.
you deal with the wind,
Yes.
correct your course,
Right.
and other things. And so I don't think it ever left me.
It was always with you, but you wanted to come back and get the degree.
Oh, that I had been planning forever
Mm-hmm.
to get my degree. Now, just to skip forward,
Yeah.
to I guess coming here.
Yeah.
I had a grandson.
Yes.
He had very good grades, and I was telling him that he needs to go to school and take up some science
Yes.
and possibly environmental engineering.
Yes.
So I came here
Yes.
to talk to somebody in the physics department.
Uh-huh.
And oddly enough,
Uh-huh.
you were there.
I remember that. I remember that day.
And as I look at this bookcase,
Yep.
this is the book
Yeah.
that you had on your bookcase.
Oh my.
This is the book you had, and I had been reading that book in my truck. I had a trucking business, 18-wheelers. I had two,
Yes.
and I would drive one. And I had Griffith.
You had Griffiths with you.
Yes, I had it, and I did that
Wonderful.
for over 10 years. I had Griffith and some other
Mm-hmm.
science books,
Yes.
because I only intended to be in trucking for 5 years.
Yes.
And then I thought I could get some drivers and turn it over
Yes.
to other, but that didn't happen.
Mhm.
And but back to I'm skipping about, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My grandson, I thought, well, you should be in science.
Yes.
You can get a job. You don't have to, because there's very few. I explained that all to him, that it's technical. You won't have as much competition, and you'll make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I came to check for him, and I'll say you were in office,
Yes.
and we started a conversation.
Yes.
And I told you I had read that book.
That's right.
And you've done something that I would say is one of the best things ever happened to me. And I really mean it. You took the time to say, why don't you go back to school? And that's what I wanted to do anyway.
My goodness.
And that was all the encouragement I needed.
Yeah.
And the other thing you did is you allowed me to sit in boot camp.
In boot camp.
In the boot camp.
With Lorena.
With Lorena. And I
Yeah.
came every day.
I remember.
And
tell
I
you what.
enjoyed every bit of it.
Nobody worked like you and Lorena.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
What a team you were.
Yeah, she's special.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd. That means a lot to me
Yeah.
for you to say that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you got started. You sat in the boot camp, and then you came back the next semester, and you said, let's do this for real.
Let's do it for real.
Let's sign up for credits.
Yes.
And this was 16 or 17.
So
2016 or 2017 wasn't it?
I think it was 2017.
2017.
Yes.
Okay.
And I took half credit, 6 hours at a time, because I received a lot of credits from the other schools.
Yes.
Mostly, I got most of my core,
Most of the core was done.
and I didn't. I know a lot of people are in a hurry to get out of college.
Yeah.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a good, solid understanding.
Yes.
And I would suggest it to people that to understand that this is a great field, and to work on it, and it takes you a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
Take a little longer.
Take a little longer.
Yeah.
And you're in your final semester now.
I'm in my final semester.
2 classes left.
2 classes.
Coronavirus came along and set you back a little bit.
Yes, sir.
You set out a semester or 2.
I set out 1 year because
1 year.
At my age,
Yes.
I'm 74. I'll be 75 in about next month. Right?
Yes.
And I have already lost 2 friends, 2 classmates to coronavirus.
Oh, my
One
goodness.
this Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and another one about a month ago or 2.
Sorry to hear
And I know it's nothing for people my age to play with.
It's
So
to be treated seriously, but you've had your vaccination now, and that made you comfortable to come
Yes,
back
I
and
feel-
finish up.
real comfortable. I've gotten my first vaccination,
Wonderful.
and
You got the last 2 classes this semester,
yes,
and you'll be walking. You'll be walking across the stage coming up.
yes. I owe it to my mother. She's not here. I lost her about 2.5 years ago, and I had planned to walk for her
Yes.
because I have a degree, I say, in marketing,
Yes.
and also I have an associate's in applied science from Houston Community College.
Yes.
So that's what I meant by physics had never left me.
Got it.
So I took up applied science in Houston Community College.
Your mother would be proud.
I know she would. I know she would. She received her degree at 63.
Is that right?
Yeah, she was 63 years old. She went back to college, and she said, well, something she always wanted to do. So I get this
It's in the family.
family, and this is the way I felt. She had an opportunity when she was young
Yes.
to go to school in Philadelphia. I can't think of the name of it. It's a big school, Princeton.
She had an opportunity to go to Princeton.
She had an opportunity, and this is during World War II now.
What happened?
World War II. She had started me in World War II. She had married my father.
Yes.
And she was telling me about it.
Yeah.
And I almost told her I wouldn't have made that decision to not go to Princeton. But
Yeah.
she says, I want to have my son. And I said, oh, that's me. Very good decision.
Wow. Well, some sacrifices she made, but she told
That's
you.
the sacrifice she made.
She told you young, you gotta do the degree, and then she came back and did it
Yeah,
herself.
I think she lived her life the way she wanted it. She did very well.
Yes.
But through her children, and she, like I said, she pressed education.
Mm-hmm.
That was her thing.
What was her degree in when she came back?
She got one in business.
Is that right?
In business,
And where did she graduate from?
a school in North Carolina called Pfeiffer College in New London, North Carolina.
Okay.
A little small college.
Okay.
So
And the family was gathered around when she walked?
I was not there. I didn't even know she was doing it.
Oh, she was secret about it.
because I lived in Texas
I see.
or Ohio. No, in Texas. I was in Texas at the time, I believe. I've been here ever since '81.
Okay.
And I'm sure my brothers and sisters, I'm sure she walked.
Okay. Well, in the time you've been here, since 17, I checked, your GPA has been close to a 3.4. I think it's excellent.
Well, my mother would say it should be better. I am sure of that. When we got report cards in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and parents always get to comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you could bring my mother 3 A's and a B.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the absolute truth.
Yep.
She'd write on the back every time, you could do better. Or my son could do better. So you never got the idea that you were doing your best.
Oh.
And I just want to say one more thing about my mother.
Yes.
When I was about, and it's related to physics
Yes.
and this desire I have.
Yes.
When I was about 14, I was really depressed because I couldn't play sports,
Yes.
which was a big thing.
Yes.
All the guys in my class were either they were tall,
Yes.
playing basketball or football, and and I was off the team. So I came to my mother and I sat down beside her and I looked at her and I just named off the names of some of my classmates
Mm-hmm.
and what they were doing in sports.
Mm.
And she looked at me and she says, "Well, son, you got something better than they have."
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't think about what it was. And she says, "You can outthink them.
Uh-huh.
You can go to school.
Yeah.
You can be smart. You
Yeah.
can do things."
Yeah.
And that just gave me such pride to know that, if you can't play sports, there's always something you can do
Yes.
that you can stand out in.
Yes.
And so that was her answer.
Right. So coming back in your 70s to finish your degree, there must be some unique challenges to coming back at that age and working in school.
Yes, there is. And it's really almost embarrassing. But everything's computerized.
Yes.
And I won't call the professor's name. It's a physicist.
Okay.
I won't call his name. But when I was sitting in this class,
Yes.
and he says, "I'm going to put the assignment on the blackboard."
Okay.
So I'm waiting. There's a blackboard right behind him. So he's getting ready to adjourn the class. So I said, "Well, I thought you were going to put the assignment on blackboard." He says, "I am."
Uh-huh.
I said, "Well, there's the blackboard,
Why don't you do it?"
doctor." And this actually happened. So he says, "That's a green board." And I'm thinking, well,
Close
we
enough.
call green boards blackboards. I told him so. But I actually did not know
Uh-huh.
what he meant by blackboard.
I get
I didn't get to the orientation and thing.
right.
And also iPhones. I got my first iPhone here.
Yes.
I was asked to take a picture of a circuit.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to take the picture with the phone.
Got it.
And then the TA says, "You can't send me a picture." I said, "No."
Uh-huh.
And then everybody laughed. You know what I mean? Because they think, well, anybody.
Uh-huh.
But a flip phone was all I needed. That's all I cared about.
Right.
And so you have to get used to the electronics and
Mm-hmm.
the computer age,
Mm-hmm.
which people my age Well, let's say you had a reason to work with it, probably shot. But that was one challenge. The other challenge uh, that I thought I was going to have is that everybody was younger.
Yeah.
And that I wouldn't fit in with the group.
Right.
But the students here are amazing.
Yes.
And I feel very comfortable, sort of like their old uncle or their father. That's the way they treat me, and I love it. I have had the best experience of my life right on this campus.
That's true.
And so, but other than that, the other thing I'd say, I had to adjust my mind to the fact that I have to look at this like I'm going into a career.
Okay.
Not to look at it as you're too old, because some people say, "What are you going to do with this?" And they're looking at your age as if, "Well, why?" And they'll say things like, "You're just doing it to prove a point." But I'm not doing it to prove a point.
Right.
And I really wanted this degree,
yes.
and I'm going to use it.
Okay.
I have every intentions of going out and doing something in physics. I have several ideas, and I'm going to use it for at least the next 10 years, I hope.
Remarkable. Can you give me a hint of what that might look like?
Well, I may teach.
Okay.
That would be. I really enjoy teaching.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a TA here, I really loved that. I love kids. I love the process of looking at them, seeing them learn.
Yes.
It is a good feeling.
Yes.
And then putting myself in their place.
Yes.
Knowing that some of this stuff is difficult. So how did you come about understanding? And I just love that process of seeing people learn and seeing if the techniques that I developed, because things don't come easy. So I have to,
I know what you mean.
be repetitive to bring it. And then once I learn it, then I feel comfortable. But
that's right. And knowing what you struggled through helps you know how to steer them.
What they are thinking of, what so that's about what I have to say about that.
That's wonderful. I was going to mention your time that you spent here as a TA. I know Ann was very impressed with your work as a TA. She just thought you did great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I had students that would call me and some they were, I wish you was a professor. I said, don't even go there. I'm not nowhere near smart as those professors.
No. That's wonderful. They bonded to you and they were connecting with you.
Yeah.
And they were getting a good experience with you.
Yeah. I took some of my naval experiences for instance, we're vectors.
Yes.
That's the way you, but if you're out to sea.
Yes.
And you have ships.
Yes.
You're on a plane.
Yes.
The only way you can tell their course and speed at that time,
yes,
when I was there, is with vectors.
Yes.
You take your radar, you hit off them, and you get a bearing.
Yes.
Then 3 minutes later, you take another time.
Yes.
And you let your ship be like the center of the earth.
Yes.
So you weren't moving, even though you were.
Yes.
The only way to resolve that and get the true courses and speed of these things is with vectors.
That's right.
By vector addition.
That's right.
So I didn't realize that I was doing that at the time. We just called it true course and true speeds.
Right.
And but we were doing vector addition.
That's right.
Yeah.
And to come back to the technological question, if I'm not mistaken, one of your last two courses is a programming course in Java. Is that right?
Yes, I'm taking that now.
Taking it right now.
Yes.
And you're mastering it? You're getting a hold of it?
I'm getting a hold of Java. It's not like linear algebra that I have. I really am mastering that. But I am doing fairly well. And Java is necessary because as a physicist, you need these languages now.
Yes.
Python And
Yes.
so I,
To tell you the truth, I wish they would teach that class in Python.
you're going to teach it.
Well, I wish that our university programming class was in Python instead of Java.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it,
But I will do well. And
that's good. So, I don't think I would have asked this, but you invited me to before our interview started. You said, "Ask me whatever you like, and ask me about being a black man in physics, being a black man in the university, in life." You said it's the elephant in the room, and if we don't mention it, we left something out. So
well,
tell me how that's been.
well, it's like I said, it hasn't held me back.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I would say to any minority.
Yes.
If you have an attitude that you're conditioned,
Yes.
that's why you can't make it.
Yeah.
Then right away you got a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it hasn't held me back. I'm not. I have experienced discrimination.
Yes.
That's right. I'm from the South, the deep South.
Yep.
You know, and I've seen the Klan rallies. I've
Goodness.
seen all those sort of things,
Mama.
and I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter about anything.
Okay.
I look at life as look at that as a challenge.
Yep.
It's if you're given a situation, you can either, as I say, if you're given lemons, you should turn it into lemonade.
Yeah.
So you but yes, I've seen that. The thing that I would say that it's the school systems are different.
Okay.
And so we really live on the other side of the track.
Different opportunity from the beginning.
Yeah, so whites live on one side of the track, we lived on the other side of the tracks.
Literally.
The books we receive would usually be 2 or 3 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and the whites will get the newer books, and we get the older books. So far as that's a challenge because you got to make up for that.
Yep.
And this goes back to when I was in the Navy. My education, I don't want to knock my school,
Yeah.
my high school,
Yeah.
but because the teachers really did the best
Yeah.
with what they had.
Yeah.
And you also, my mother said, you got to be self-motivated. When things are not up to par, you have to realize that and do more yourself. You just can't say, well, it's the school's fault or it's the teacher's fault.
Mm.
And but when I was reading that book that I was telling you about Einstein,
Yes.
I realized that I didn't read up to the level I should, and that things weren't. And I began to really read because I knew that one day,
Mm-hmm.
to do anything,
Yeah.
you have to you just have to work at it.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing in my truck with Griffith.
Remarkable.
Working at it. And here's another book.
Yes. Oh, you know that book? That is a fine book.
Well, I read the first 5 chapters,
Wonderful.
and this is Dr. Dent. Dr. Dent gave me the idea that
Mm-hmm.
I should learn about formalism.
That's a grad school level text.
I know. So you study now. You don't wait till you get there and be completely shocked.
That's
In
right.
case you want to go to
So
grad school.
you worked through the first 5 chapters of Zachary?
Yes, I have a YouTube video with a professor. I don't
Yes.
know his name,
Yes.
and he's going through Shakuri, and so I read and go along with him. And I was doing that during the COVID.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So,
That's wonderful. What advice do you have for young people in terms of life advice or advice in physics? Or
I tell my grandchildren,
Yeah.
and my children the same thing. Number one, I guess we just talked. You can't go through life with a chip on your shoulder. You got to have a good attitude about life. Period. You're blessed to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, I would say, don't be jealous of people or envious of them. Work on it. That's where you get to whatever anyone else have. You can probably get it yourself if you work at it hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
And and of course, be moral, be honest,
Yeah.
tell the truth. Those are the sort of things that I really would tell them. Just about it.
You told me at the beginning of our conversation that your first trip here to the university and to the department was for your son, your grandson,
Yes.
and talking about technology degree. What came of your grandson's experience? Did he come to see him?
No. And I talked to him the other day. He decided he wanted to work at a pizza place.
Okay.
So, and I just told him he's doing another job that I don't want to knock him, because if you say things about the person and what they're doing, it's just not right. You don't tear it down. I think any job is a good job.
Yes.
I mean, do it to your best, and he seemed to like what he's doing.
Great.
And so my heart was for him to be a scientist,
Yes.
but he's taking a different path.
Okay.
So I wish he would still come back. I was still telling him, but he's 23 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a spot for her.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you'd like to say?
No, Doctor, I really thank you for letting me tell my story,
Oh, thank you, Mr. Floyd.
and hopefully I'll let you know what's happening in the future.
You're always welcome here. As I mentioned to you before, if you want to pop in at some point and just sit in the class for a little while, any class in the department, you are welcome.
I can still be a TA.
You can be a TA, as a matter of fact.
Okay, all right.
That's right. We would absolutely.
All right.
We can work that out.
Well, that's part of it. When you ask me about the future, I've retired from the city of Houston, military, Social Security.
Yeah.
My wife has done just about the same.
Yeah.
So we're, I'm not saying well off, we're not well off.
Yeah.
But I don't have to worry about an income like these young people.
Got it.
I mean, we paid off all our bills. That's a lesson to young people.
Yeah.
Don't make big bills and pay them off. So I don't have any bills. So I can do things like be a TA.
That's
I
wonderful.
was thinking about maybe doing a few things, teaching some wastewater courses.
Oh.
The flows and stuff like that. The piping system, the pressure on the lines. That's part of getting your wastewater license.
Okay.
So you can use it, and they pay pretty well.
Okay.
They let you, because I have a Class A wastewater license.
Uh-huh.
So you can
Well, that would be great.
you can do that. And like I said, teaching. So I'm sort of thinking I don't want to do anything full time,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to enjoy things in physics, and that's
That makes good sense.
Yeah.
That makes good sense. Thank you. So have such great affection. I'd say we have great love for you.
Thank you.
We honor your life. Well, it just fills me with joy that you've come to the point here that your graduation is in. Congratulations.
Well, and like I say, thank you. Thank you for the invite to come here, because it may not have happened. I believe it would have happened somewhere, but this was the idea of university for me.
Perfect.
So, and I'm very happy about that.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we can stop.
All right, it's over.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Okay.
Let's do that.